Um, Appreciate those of you who may be joining live or joining recording of this. I just wanted to take a little bit of time here to do a quick update on some of the weather that we've had going on today. It's been a very active weather day and on a variety of fronts. And I want to start off here by talking about some of the severe weather we've had today. This is a loop of radar going back 12 hours. I'm going to go ahead and stop it, hopefully. Go back to um, early this morning. So we're looking here at 9:10 a.m. this morning. And we had some thunderstorms that were developing up here across the UP of Michigan and northern Wisconsin. And as we went through the morning, these storms intensified and became severe as new severe storms developed um, out ahead of it across southeast Wisconsin. And with time, we had several clusters of severe thunderstorms moving southeast along the western shore of Lake Michigan and across the lake. And of particular interest is this uh, thunderstorm complex here near Appleton, Wisconsin. And this was kind of uh, looked like a high precipitation supercell. You can see here, this is 11:20 a.m. You can actually see a hook-shaped feature here to the northwest of Appleton, and it went through a lot of evolution, which is not unusual in one of these kind of uh, weather patterns where you've got storms moving south in a very unstable atmosphere due to a lot of heat and moisture, like we've been talking about in the newsletters the last few days. And if we take a look, if we go close in on radar and look at the radar data, Green Bay constant radar, I thought I had stopped that, but let's stop it now. So, so we were just looking at about 11:40 a.m. And if we look here now, closer in, looking at the Green Bay radar, you can see we're pretty close to the radar here. We're only about 15 to 20 miles away. And so we're seeing the storm really well. And, and you can see again here this kind of hook like feature with some low level rotation in the radar, not particularly strong at this point. But one of the things you really have to be on guard for in these environments where you have a ton of low level moisture, like we've been talking about in the newsletter the last couple days, is you've got a lot of instability near the ground. And if you manage to tap the low level rotation that is near the surface, you can really develop a significant tornado very rapidly. And that's what we actually ended up happening here as we go uh, a little bit further out in time at 11:49. We can see a little bit of an increase in low level rotation here to the northwest of Appleton. You can see this um, strong outbound wind uh, in the data, which is showing there's likely a strong uh, downburst or a strong downdraft in the storm that's probably helping to develop rotation and really gen up the storm. And we see here the data is a bit noisy, but you can see that increased outbound wind there at 11:52, 11:55. Now you're starting to see this really well defined couplet. And by 11:59, unfortunately, we have clear indication that there's likely a strong tornado going on here on the southwest side of Appleton. You can see the rotation where my cursor is right in here on the upper right hand portion or in the upper right-hand panel, and here in the lower left-hand panel, the correlation coefficient data, we can see pretty clear indications of debris in the dual polarization data. And this tornado becomes very intense very rapidly. The next volume scan, we're talking about just 3 minutes later, a very large debris signature, not only clear in the dual polarization radar data, but you can see it here in the actual reflectivity data, clear debris ball. So this tornado continued to be intense as it moved almost due south across these communities here to the south of Appleton. And then luckily, eventually it moved out over Lake Winnebago while it was still apparently a very strong, potentially, close to violent tornado. But eventually, again, which is not uncommon in these like late summer tornadic environments where you have a lot of low level moisture and instability, they can spin up really fast and they can weaken really fast. And that's what we saw here. It quickly gusted out and became more of a wind threat. So we had this really intense tornadic damage around the Appleton area. I know that the Weather Service has been surveying the damage, and it was at least EF2. There was a lot in the radar data and some of the initial video that I saw and pictures that suggest it was probably some EF3 damage in there at least. So far, I've not heard of any fatalities. I've heard that there have been some injuries in some of the media reports. It will be very lucky if we don't have any fatalities, especially because there was not a tornado warning issued for this storm until the tornado looks like it was already ongoing. This was a challenging setup with low tornado probabilities in the forecast from the Storm Prediction Center. There was no tornado watch. In effect, it was a severe thunderstorm watch. I don't want to say a lot about that until I have more time to really dive into all of the data and really kind of get a better handle on what all was going on. I do know that there were some tornado possible tags and some of the severe thunderstorm warnings that were being issued by the Weather Service. So there was definitely some awareness that there could be some tornadic activity with these storms. And just from a quick look at some of the environmental data, there was definitely some increase in the significant tornado parameter, which is one of the just kind of quick and dirty parameters we look at to try to gauge the potential for tornadoes. So I'm sure I'll have more to talk about with this in the coming days. Those of you that follow the Debris Ballers podcast, I'm thinking this is an event that we might do a podcast to do a bit more of a deep dive on. But I also just want to mention that while these severe storms were going on in northeast Wisconsin, there were also a number of severe storms going on in the Chicagoland area with a number of reports of wind damage. It looks like there were likely several tornadoes in the northeast Illinois area as well. At one point, there were more than 500,000 customers without power in northeast Illinois, eastern Wisconsin, down into parts of Indiana and Michigan as these severe storms continued. And if we look at what's going on right now, there's still complexes of severe storms associated with all of this activity. Not that, let's see here. We go out here to 9/16. These storms have basically been progressing north to south across this region. I'm going to just do a quick loop here to show how we go to 2:00. You can see these complexes of severe storms that were spraying across Indiana. And then another complex comes down out of the Chicagoland area and drops down into southern Indiana eventually. So there have been a number of reports of severe weather along this axis. This afternoon, another complex turned a little more to the east and went down into the southwest Ohio area. There's been about 300 reports of severe weather today. Another area has been out here over South Dakota, where there have been a number of significant 75-mile-an-hour or greater severe wind reports. And we take a quick look at that. Um, you can see that these storms developed um, as we went through the mid and late afternoon hours. You can see this complex of severe storms uh, south of Pierre and is now evolving more into central Nebraska. So let's take a quick look at the heat today. Uh, the heat has been prevalent and impressive across much of the country. Uh, in the middle part of the country, it's been a combination of heat and humidity that has been pushing index values again well into the triple digits. Out further to the west, it's more been uh, the heat itself with a number of desert Southwest locations getting up over 110 again today. Um, I'm going to close this radar scope in the hope that maybe that'll free up some memory here, speed the computer up a little bit. But you can see here, we're starting to get into the time of year where temperatures are typically starting to back off a little bit in the Southwest as we start to get more monsoon activity. But at least for the next several days, that doesn't appear like it's going to be the case, as we're going to see another peak of heat building over the Southwest as we go toward the end of the week and into the weekend. Even already, we can see, there's 110 to 115, approaching 120 here in some of the Southwest Arizona deserts. If we take a look farther to the east here in the plains, a number of locations. Again, these are observed temperatures, not heat index values. We can see temperatures. If this thing will slow down, we can see there were a number of locations that pushed 110 today in central Kansas. And if we look at the records that occurred today, we can see that there were a number of daily record high temperatures set again today across the middle part of the country from New Mexico up through the upper Midwest. So let's talk a little bit about what's going to transpire over the next several days. And I want to start real quick just talking, because I talked in the last couple days newsletters about what's going on in Europe and new building heat wave there, which is going to potentially exacerbate the wildfire situation that's already caused the evacuation of several 100,000 people. It still does look like we're going to see this is the low-level temperature anomaly. And we're looking here now at midday Thursday, and you can see there's definitely going to be building heat again here from Spain into Central and Eastern Europe. Luckily, one thing that has changed a bit in the models the last couple days is they have sped up a cold front that's going to be working in from the north into the UK and parts of Northern Europe, which will at least mean that those areas won't have quite as prolonged and intense heat. Like I had shared a European model forecast showing Berlin potentially getting above 40 C again this weekend. The models have backed off of that somewhat and are really focusing the heat from Spain through southern France and into Central and Eastern Europe as we go into the weekend. And then another wave does build a little bit further north as we go into the early part of next week. The bottom line is the areas that have been having the most serious conditions with wildfires and drought. Spain, France, parts of Italy, um, they are going to have another significant heat wave here over the coming days. Still doesn't look like much in the way of any rainfall. Uh, so, unfortunately, I know that there's a lot of concern over there that uh, that the fires are going to, at a minimum, continue, and that there could be new starts and potential for new spreads. So, um, I just wanted to touch on that real quick. And then let's come back here to the US, and I'm going to change to the 500 millibar heights. And a couple things I want to highlight here. So this is currently right now, this evening. You can see we have this really large area of upper level high pressure across the southwest into the central part of the country. And we downstream of that, we have this trough of low pressure in the east. And these two weather systems are going to kind of work together in the next couple days. We're going to see this ridge, this upper level high pressure area, after weakening a little bit, it's going to start to rebuild as we go into the middle part of the week. And as that happens downstream of it, we're going to see an unusually strong upper level low develop over the northeast. And that upper level low is going to be a significant player in the weather for the east over the next couple of days, with the potential for some severe weather in the mid-Atlantic and the potential for some, significant flash flooding over parts of the mid-Atlantic and northeast. So first, talking about the severe weather, um, if we look at the NATOcast AI forecast for tomorrow, we can see there's a um, relatively high probabilities of damaging wind, a 5%, which is a decent tornado risk for the mid-Atlantic, uh, with storms in this region for tomorrow. Could also even be some hail. The NATOcast actually has a little bit of probability for significant hail here, kind of in the Tidewater area. Um, Flooding will also be a growing concern um, as we go into tomorrow. Um, the Weather Prediction Center, in their latest day two outlook, has now actually added a moderate risk of flash flooding for essentially the tri-state region, including the New York City, uh, at least a decent part of the New York City metro area. And essentially, what we're going to have here is this upper level low is really going to start to tap some uh, tropical moisture and pull it up into the region. And so, with training thunderstorms, with high rainfall rates, again, like we've been talking about in a number of uh, newsletters this summer, we could be looking at some significant flash flood concerns, especially in the urban corridor there, northern New Jersey, southern New York State, western Connecticut. So that's going to be a concern for tomorrow afternoon and evening, particularly, um, that we'll need to be keeping an eye on as we go uh, through the day and into tomorrow night. Um, and the other thing I want to mention with regard to the forecast is that while that upper level low is eventually going to start to weaken as it moves off to the east, we can see the upper level ridge here in the western United States is going to really build as we get another 6,000 meter uh, high pressure center here over Arizona. So, like I was talking about earlier when we were talking about the heat in the Southwest today, we're going to see another push of significant heat into the Southwest and Intermountain region as we go toward the end of the week, with the potential for some monthly and maybe even a few all-time record highs again in parts of like Arizona, Nevada, Utah area. Um, and also, obviously, there's some concern for increasing fire weather conditions across uh, significant parts of the West, which is obviously not great considering that we have uh, a very active wildfire situation going on, particularly in the Pacific Northwest right now. So I just wanted to get a quick video out since we had so much weather going on, and I focused on the um, mainly on the tropical stuff in today's newsletter. Um, I am going to be busy tomorrow morning, so I'm probably not going to do newsletter tomorrow morning, but I will have some video or a post or some chat as we go into the evening hours to just kind of bring everybody up to date as we're going to have the potential severe weather and flash flooding in the east tomorrow. Um, and we'll update on how things are evolving with that. So we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for listening in, and thanks for your support of Balanced Weather. We'll talk to you all soon.